I have 2 college degrees, and out of all the things that I value from those degrees, the knowledge that I learned from them is not one of the main things. I hate to say it, but there are plenty of things that I learned in college that I could have very well learned on my own for free. Because we live in the age of information, I know how to research, I know how to cross reference, and I had a lot of awful professors who were very egotistical and would teach decades old, outdated misinformation to us and did not want to be corrected on any of it. That doesn't mean that I think the education system is useless and that we should knock all education altogether. If you have the opportunity to get a degree and you can afford it and afford it time-wise as well, I do think it's a good idea because we still live in a society that values a degree. There's a reason why in high school our teachers would pressure us to apply to colleges, and if we couldn't afford it, they would encourage us to apply for scholarships to go to college. Because even if you get a quote unquote useless degree where there's information that you might not ever actually use in your workforce or information that you could learn elsewhere for a lot cheaper or free, you still have the title of the degree. And as messed up as this is, there are a lot of hiring managers out there who are still very biased and will give you, the one with the degree, a foot in the door before anybody else who doesn't have a degree. The education system in the USA is so messed up. It's rooted in classism and racism. The redlining after slavery has segregated the USA so much that there are like poor communities and Black and brown and indigenous communities that have a lot worse education than like these rich white communities that have the top of the world's education. It's messed up and it's not fair. While recognizing that, unfortunately, we still do live in a society here in the USA that does value the degree regardless. So if you do have the opportunity to get the degree, I personally say go for it because that's why I got my degrees. Editing me, and I cut my hair. A caveat that I want to address because I see this in the comments all the time. Just because you have a degree does not mean you have an all-access pass everywhere. Because I know how to use Microsoft Suite does not mean that I'm going to be good at a server job with no serving experience, especially when the other candidates have serving experience. I'm tired of that conversation. The resources that I had attending a college campus in person were amazing. There was a library that was open almost 24/7 where you could access computers and printers and the entire world of the information that you could find at a library. And the librarians have to have degrees to be librarians. They know what they're talking about when they help you out with stuff. There was also a healthcare center that was like an urgent care, but paid for with our tuition. So all the visits were free or very, very low cost. The medications that they would prescribe were very low cost. There was also a student center that had a ton of different little community resource centers within it. So you could find your community, you could learn more about it. You can get free or discounted museum tickets, sports game tickets. There's a Spotify student plan. I was able to vote in the 2016 presidential election when I turned 18 at my college out of state. A college campus is like a strip mall for resources. It is way harder to access all of that accessibly in a small space when you're not on a college campus because you have to take time off of work. You have to make sure your shift is covered. Can you afford the transportation and or parking? Can you afford the copay? Do you have insurance to cover it? All those issues that you are going to have to worry about when you don't have the convenience and accessibility of a college campus. When we say it's free but included in your tuition, that means you've already paid for it. So utilize it. I saw comedians like Nick Offerman. I saw Khalid through my college for free. I actually took a bowling class. It was super fun. It was 1 credit, and a billiards class. The last thing is connections. You'll meet other classmates and professors, faculty and staff, and also people from the area who attend events like the art shows, etc., that you can connect with, stay connected with after college, and they can help you in the workforce. For my degrees, I was required to do internships in the field. It's part of getting a social work degree. So a lot of times the people that I met at those internships, whether they were coworkers or bosses, helped me get jobs outside of college. That's like my own version of being a Nepo baby. It was a serious leg up, a massive privilege that I would not have had if I didn't go to college and utilize those resources, the connections that I made. I did burn those bridges. Don't do that because you will need those connections in the future. That's my bad. And now I can't get them back because how am I going to explain that? But It's not useless, even if it is a messed up system. Sometimes you have to play the game if you want to win something from it. And I know that's so messed up to say, but that doesn't mean that it's not true in the current society that we live in. We can be optimistic and hopeful. We can also be realistic at the same time and recognize that we live in a messy world and we have to kind of do messy things that might give us a little cognitive dissonance, like going to college when we know how messed up the system is, if it means the potential for a better life for ourselves. So maybe don't poop all over the idea of college just yet. Just consider what you can get from it aside from the textbook stuff.